I can say this, at this instant, it looks as though the circulation has now exited Tippah County. So if you live inside the Tippah County line, Tippah County, we can come out of that tornado safe place. But let's drill down here. We're really close in Kossuth. This is right up on you. I know we have a lot of viewers that live in the Kossuth area. I'll try to get my shoulder out of the way so we can see this. We believe this could be a tornado either generating or about to touch down at this instant here. We've kind of had this little notch that is formed from time to time, and still showing that there. We're also, I think, looking from Monroe County now. I want to go back to the Memphis radar if we can, to pop that on there. That probably has a slightly, let's see if they'll pop that on there. Is the Memphis radar not up? Are we having a data issue on Memphis? Let's check that. Make sure we know what we have available to us at this moment. So there we are. There's Memphis radar. Okay, it has it better. We're going to stick with Memphis then for a moment here. So there's our circulation just northeast of Crumtown, County Road 638 in Alcorn County, approaching County Road 620. And near the 620 Highway 2 split there is where we would have our circulation. This is County Road 600. So really pretty much moving directly into Kossuth. This is Doppler radar indicated rotation. It could potentially be a tornado, and it's a situation where you need to make a phone call to someone who lives in Kossuth just to make sure they know. I'd much prefer them to be annoyed, and you can blame me for whatever you want to do that on that, but make sure they are aware that this could be a deadly situation if they don't treat it seriously. This is rotation that is continuing to organize on this, and could potentially be a tornado in the generation phase if it hasn't touched down at this point. And let's look at the debris mode here. I don't think we're going to show up any. We don't at this moment. But the reflectivity, the rainfall here definitely shows this this little finger kind of circulating in there south of 620, pretty much right at County Road 620. And let's be perfectly honest about something. We are way too far away from the radar site to drill down and say for sure it's on County Road 620. But this is, a general idea. We're seeing the rotation here aloft. There could be a tilting in the updraft. Typically, the tilt's back just a little bit. So in this area here is about near Highway 2 in western Alcorn County, where I think we have a tornado in the generation phase at this moment here, or at least a 60 to 75 mile per hour wind enhancement. And that is the kind that from time to time can produce damage that is significant. So that's why we're watching this closely. So we're going to make 45 miles per hour our speed on this. And we're going to track this, and we'll try to get all those little locations onto this. So directly in this, Kossuth, 12:06, current time 12:03. So we're now 3 minutes from Kossuth, from the main intersection there. This is a tornado potentially generating, if not on the ground at this moment here. Kossuth Elementary School at 12:07, Pleasant Hill Church 12:10, Pleasant Hill United Methodist Church 12:10. This might be the same spot or at least near one another. AM Welcome Center at 12:10 and the Roscoe Turner area at 12:11. Rotation increasing, strengthening. And all the indications are that this could be a tornado in the generation phase at least. Let's see if the radar, yes, we need to treat this like a tornado on the ground at this moment here. I've switched it back to the radar site in Monroe County, and while the rainfall mode is not as perfect at depicting it here, you can definitely see those reds are getting brighter. So south of County Road 620, that's where we believe we have a tornado at this instant, and at very least it's wind damage, and in either case wind is wind, and that's what does can hurt you. So we need to be in a tornado safe place if we live up here in Alcorn County. That means that if you live near County Road 620 west of Kossuth, this intersection there I believe is County Road 500. So near the 500 and County Road 620 and Mississippi Highway 2 intersections where we believe our tornado is. So within the next minute and a half, it should be into the Kossuth area. This is potentially a tornado on the ground and certainly is a strengthening circulation. Have you called folks at home? Okay. Bronson here at the TV station is from Alcorn County, and so I want to make sure we've made some phone calls there. Even around here, sometimes it's not my voice that saves a life. It's your voice calling and saying, hey, pay attention, this is happening. They'll listen to you more than they'll listen to me because they trust you. So I would highly encourage you to give them a phone call, make sure they know that this could be a life-threatening situation if they're in a mobile home or a weaker structure and they're not in the safest place of their home, or in a reinforced safe room. They need to be doing that. So I would put it right there at the intersection of County Road. I believe that's, I've said it enough times you'd think I'd have it by now. Where are we at? County Road 620 to County Road 619 and Mississippi Highway 2. You can see that new updated location there approaching Kossuth. And again, we're looking very high up here. Let's see if we get a better look at this again from Memphis. We're just going to kind of switch back and forth between these different radar sites to check and see. Yeah, see, Memphis has this farther ahead from its angle. So we kind of have to do sort of an average of the two, but I'd rather be on the faster one. So I'm going to go there in Kossuth, pretty much at the intersection of Mississippi Highway 2 and County Road 600 in Kossuth. That is a circulation, could potentially be a tornado. While we're on that, while we're on this, let's track this whole line here as this is now making it into the western part of Corinth. We believe that this is all probably a potential for wind damage. Maybe something else could spin up on this line as well. So while we're drilled in here in Kossuth, at this instant, it's coming through you. We have to be at that tornado safe place. Hopefully we're there. Allentown 1210, Rustler Junction at 1214, Corinth at 1216, and the Acton community at 1218. But Corinth, we're now down to what? 10 minutes for you, best case scenario, and it could be a tornado that this is trying to produce at this time. It is strengthening, and so we need to play it very, very safe. What are we dealing with here? We're dealing with Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. That's issued when Doppler radar shows rotation that could at some point in the near future develop into a tornado. We believe that's what we've seen on this. We have not spotted debris. We have not confirmed the tornado with spotters yet, but the problem with nighttime spotting is we typically don't get those reports at night nearly as quickly as we would during the day because spotters are waiting for lightning strikes, and they're just frankly aren't enough of those at night to really nail that. So there's a lot of guessing, there's a lot of maybes, there's a lot of possiblies, and all of those reasons are the reason why we highly encourage you to take this seriously if you live up here in Alcorn County. And in about 15-20 minutes we can move you out of that tornado safe place and you can go to sleep and be fine, because once you're past this, you're past it. So let's widen this, make sure we're not missing something else along this line where we do have, I mean, there are a ton of little interactions along this line where the winds are kind of coming together and trying to spin something up. Let's give it a moment here. That spot that we were watching earlier near Cornersville finally picked up a little speed. It was near Cotton Plant. That's not something at this moment, at least not on that radar. Let's go to Monroe County, see if it has a different perspective. And I'm going to have to actually click on the radar and specifically choose that. When we're in the middle here, it makes it a little more difficult. Right there, nope, that's nothing. So I don't see anything back there that is concerning at this moment. Report from the National Weather Service now of a wall cloud being reported in the Kossuth area. From this, that is a lowering, a part of the thunderstorm that is closer to the ground because of the circulation, and that can be something, a sign, a wall cloud that precedes a tornado touchdown. And sometimes the lightning flashes don't give you a good enough view, and it might actually be a tornado. So that's what we're concerned with at this point, that we could potentially have one of those circulations very near Kossuth. So again, as we've said over and over again, we're past time now. We need to be in that tornado safe place. If you live along Highway 2 now east of Kossuth. So that report coming in now 12:08. Current time is 12:09. So I show just on radar this little appendage that sticks out there. That'd be the most likely spot I would show near County Road 510. But we're too far away from the radar site to have such precision here. So rather than be in so close, which kind of implies a greater amount of knowledge than we have of this situation, than the technology allows us to have, I would instead cast a wider net because of the nighttime component to this. And I want to make sure that we have Corinth and Farmington in this circulation, though it has headed a little more east the last couple of scans. Let's take a look here together. Yeah, that is moving a little more east. I just wanted a time there for Corinth within 9 minutes, Farmington in 14 minutes. But this is moving more east. So we might actually be talking about more Biggersville addresses here than Corinth addresses potentially. Current scan, stop there, County Road 512. Let's track this directly east and let's put on every one of those spots that we can. So I would have it approaching US Highway 45. So Mays Creek Church, somebody lives near there. Historical means typically not going still. Biggersville First Baptist Church, Shady Grove Methodist Church, St. Luke's Church in Alcorn County, Shady Grove Mission, as well as Job's, Salem Church, and Oakland School, all in the path of this. All those locations are in Alcorn County. Some of those, I know there tend to be some overlaps on some of those names in other counties, so we're stressing Alcorn County is the location that we're looking at that. And for folks that might be traveling along US 45, Allentown, where I have that, we have a new location. I would say we're now 3 minutes away from US 45, about 2 miles north of Biggersville is where the circulation is showing up on Storm Track Doppler radar. We've had numerous reports of wind damage behind this line, and we think that should still be a possibility with this. I'm going to again kind of jog back and forth. We'll check different radars here. Columbus, a little slower than Memphis. I'm going to go with the Memphis location on this. So let's circle where we think it is. Let's come back down here, street level, and let's get a few county roads back on here for folks that, if you need to do some calling. Certainly if you live in the Allentown area, or if you associate yourself with Allentown, we need to be in a tornado safe place. Alcorn County Road 522. Of course, this is, I believe that's County Road. I need to come in closer so I can see it. County Road 512. So County Road 512 east of Allentown, just north of that, Old 455, Old Highway 455, County Road 510, Alcorn County. We believe this to be rotation that could produce damage, could perhaps even be a tornado. No guarantees that's the case, but it's definitely a possibility that we're watching. Chelsea, if you would you switch me places here for just a minute here? I want to check a couple things here behind the scenes, if I could. So I'm going to switch spots with Chelsea as she's tracking this tornado. We do not have confirmation of a tornado on the ground at this instant, but we do believe it's possible that it could take that next step. And frankly, at night like this, we don't know for sure until after the fact, right, Chelsea?
Yeah. And right now that circulation is really just north and a little bit east of Allentown, right? A little bit where that red circle is. So it's really in between Corinth and Biggersville, but we're really in between that Monroe County and Memphis radar. So if you are, say, in the Biggersville area or really south of Corinth, be in that tornado safe place right now. And if you do know somebody that is traveling along Highway 45 or supposed to be traveling along Highway 45 near the Corinth area, you need to go ahead and call them and warn them of this. Just realized you have that different mouse up here and it's weird.
You can use the other one. The other one's sitting on top of there. My injured arm.
And right now just kind of taking a little bit of a wider look. Now this does go until 12:45, this tornado warning for parts of Alcorn, and they did extend that into parts of Tishomingo County as well just a few minutes ago. Tornado warning is going to be really close to getting closer towards Highway 45 here in between Corinth and Biggersville, and looking at that, we do not have this. This is radar indicated right now. We do not have a confirmed tornado on the ground. But even if you are just seeing gusty winds, which we have seen many reports of wind damage, this does cause as much, sometimes in some cases more damage than a tornado. So take this seriously, especially going into the overnight hours, because if you're trying to go outside and see, it is very hard to see in those spotters, that little few that we do have out there in many locations right now. It's hard to see at nighttime. Right now, this is moving at 45 miles per hour, according to the National Weather Service. So if I take a little bit wider and get a track on this, tracking it really from Corinth, a little bit further south. Seeing a few times there, Biggersville around 12:16. So here in the next minute or so, Farmington around 12:22, Kendrick 12:27, Glenn around 12:29, and that really just tracks to that Tishomingo County line. Let me get a little bit of a longer track for you. What do you have this set out? 40?
It should be 40, yeah.
Okay, let me go a little bit up. Tracking that really just over that Tishomingo County line there around 12:30. This tornado warning does go until 12:45 right now. And this is still radar indicated. We do not have a confirmed tornado on this right now. But once again, getting a little bit of a closer look right along 45 there, just west of 45, just south of the Corinth area. So if you are in really southern regions of Corinth, be in your tornado safe place as well, and as well in Biggersville, because we are far enough from the radar in Memphis and also in Monroe County that it is hard to see the exact location on this, but that does go all the way into parts of Tishomingo County. So Burnsville, Iuka included in this tornado warning now, and then along Pickwick. So if you do know somebody that is in Pickwick this weekend, go ahead and give them the call, give them the heads up, because they could be asleep right now. But once again, still tracking this tornado warned storm in parts of Alcorn County now. And right now, according to the radar, it's really in the southern regions of Corinth, South Harper Road there. You can see a little bit of that rotation on the radar there. But as we do continue to track this, getting closer towards Farmington here in the next few minutes, getting closer towards 72 there, going from Corinth south of Farmington. If you do know anybody that's traveling in Alcorn County or even into Tishomingo County, go ahead and give them the call, give them the heads up. Right now, still tracking this and looking a little bit down the line. I'm not seeing anything down the line much. That's looking more linear. Do you see anything, Matt?
Not a whole lot down the line on the rest of it there. It's fairly linear at this point. I mean, it's that same thing. When it gets more north-south or, northwest-southeast, we know it's really kind of spinning up. I think right there along 45 south of Corinth, I think that's definitely the spot that we have to watch the closest right now still.
Okay. Let's get another track on that.
And I'm trying to get some damage pictures that we've gotten in here up and ready to go on the air. So that's what I'm working on here in a second. Chelsea, you're doing a great job.
All right, thanks. 12:22 Farmington. So here in the next few minutes, make sure you are going to be in your tornado safe place. Strickland 12:24, Glenn 12:27, crossing over that Tishomingo County line around 12:30. So once again, just kind of going over some of these safe places and places that are unsafe. You want to be, if you do not have a tornado shelter, you want to be in a bottom level of your home or whatever building you're in. You want a sturdy structure. Mobile homes, cars, definitely not one of those safer places. Get pillows and blankets and bicycle helmets or motorcycle helmets if you have any. Protect your head. Your body can take more impacts than your head can if you do have any of that debris kind of funneling around. According to the National Weather Service report of a funnel cloud near Corinth, Highway 45 and 405. And that's really right along where we have seen a little bit more of that rotation.
45 and what?
45 and 405.
Okay, let's see here if I will pull that down with the X there. So 45 and 405. I see 408. Hold on, you gotta give us a moment here to try to find that. I see 515, 512. I think we know about the general area there. And by the way, the reason you just got two weather calls you heard came on my phone. The first one was the fact that the other severe thunderstorm warning ran out, and then they just issued a new one all the way to basically the Alabama state line until 1 a.m.
1 a.m. and that is in Central Time now. I don't know why that other one was in Eastern Time.
However they coded it when they sent it out by accident.
But still this long line of storms right now that will be soon moving into parts of Boonville, New Albany, Baldwin. Still really gusting out a lot of those straight line winds. Have reports of damage from these storms that were actually out in Panola County. Have continued to see some more of those reports as it is tracking closer to our area. So really needing to take this seriously as we are heading into your overnight hours, even if you just are in a severe thunderstorm warning, because these could just cause maybe trees to fall, possibly on your house. So just make sure you are staying aware and make sure you do have multiple ways to get those alarms if you are planning on going to sleep. Right now, still tracking that tornado warning into parts of Alcorn County right now, moving just south and east of the Corinth area, south and west of Farmington, really right there along 72. north of the Jobs area, as we are continuing to see that rotation right there where that circular red circle is right there, continuing to see some more of that moving through in between Corinth and Jobs, really in southern parts of Corinth, still needing to be in your tornado safe place right now, as that does continue to track closer to that Tishomingo County line. Tishomingo is included now in that tornado warning as well. And this is, once again, radar indicated. We do not have a confirmed tornado on the ground with this. Reports of funnel clouds, wall clouds, but nothing on the ground at this point. Once again, in between Corinth and Jobs area, as that does continue to track closer towards 72, in between Farmington and Glen, getting closer towards the Strickland community. So if you do know anybody in the Strickland community, give them a call. Heads up, many people asleep. It is after midnight now, so looking at time frame on this, Salem Church 12:21, so that's right about now. Strickland 12:25. Alcorn Central Elementary School 12:26. So here within the next few minutes, just make sure you are staying weather aware. 3 miles away from Highway 72 is where we are seeing really that radar indicated rotation there. Once again, radar indicated. We do not have a confirmation on this storm that it is having a tornado touchdown. Trying to rotate right now with the funnel cloud and wall cloud from the National Weather Service. Reports of those at this time. But even if it does not form a tornado, this has caused wind damage. This storm system has caused wind damage in the past. Just kind of checking reports from the National Weather Service chat. As that does continue to push through, really bringing out gusty winds, getting closer towards Farmington, down towards Strickland, Glen area there along Highway 72. Right now, that circulation you can see there, County Road 301 right there, just north and east of the Jobs community. And that is really right along County Road 400 is where that radar indicated rotation is. Right now, I'm going to swap out with Chief Meteorologist Matt Laubhahn, still continuing to track out.
Okay, and if you would help me here. Well, we'll try to get in contact with Tippah and Alcorn counties here in a few minutes. But I know that we're not going to probably get much back.
That's one of the EMA directors we don't have a cell phone number on.
Okay.
I just looked in our thing.
Okay, we'll have to double check. Okay. Well, and sometimes we're able to get a hold of the law enforcement. They'll go ahead and get us. So we'll hopefully try to find that out here in a minute. But as you can see, where Chelsea is tracking that County Road 400, where that circulation is still showing up at this time here. Yeah, go ahead and grab. Sorry, Face ID. So County Road 400, County Road 301, we should be getting a new scan in here any second now that would advance that. That has tightened up a bit more here. Let's look at on here just to see what it'll give us on the wind change, 40, 45 miles per hour. That's a little tighter than it has been, and we're looking fairly high up, so we don't always have excellent eyes on this. So I'm going to check the location out of Memphis again, just to kind of see. It's a little broader there. We're definitely best looking at this out of location in Monroe County. So that's easily one of our strongest circulations. Let's just widen this to make sure we're not missing something along this line. The only spot maybe northern Lafayette County, but again, you just have this trailing storms back here. So that's not a tornado at this point. It's really this leading edge right there up here south of Corinth. That's where we're watching this. You know, and one of the things that we have to consider in this situation is the fact that we have you know, it might not be everybody getting damaged, but it's damage that looks like this. This is just north of the, let's get the exact information on this. Give me a second here. So 45 and US 72, that's up in Selmer. So it's a little north. But the point of showing this from Chris sending this in is that the power line's knocked down. You know, this happens, and then you end up, the next thing that we've realized is we've have some, you know, power outages, and then people can't watch us, and they're you know, so they don't, it knocks out one of their abilities to get warnings and get that information, which is why it's important, if you know folks that live in advance of these circulations on a night like this, that you give them the phone call, and you're the one that could potentially save their life. This is about to cross US 72 southeast of Corinth. We're in here very close near County Road 2, let's see that, County Road 305 and then County Road 220. Just south of that is where we have our circulation right now. It's going to track here pretty close to Farmington, south of Farmington, and eventually in the path of this we show County Road 200, County Road 259 up in Alcorn County. All these in Alcorn County that we're tracking there. So we need to be pretty close, at least within steps of our tornado safe place for folks up here. And I would certainly probably be in that tornado safe place now, a reinforced structure, because this is at least 60-mile-per-hour winds with this circulation there. And it seems reasonable that we could have damage from this. We don't find that out until after the fact. Unfortunately, when we give you damage reports, there's nothing predictive about that. It's just confirmational. So wider here for a moment. Let's reset and let's talk about what we have. We've had a ton of weather calls that have probably gone off from this rest of this line here, Boonville, New Albany, back to the west. That's, you see here, Baldwin or north part of Tupelo there, Saltillo, back out here, locations north of Fulton, Tishomingo County, all included under this severe thunderstorm warning. It's straight line winds from this. Okay, straight line, big deal, right? Well, straight line winds earlier had toppled a few mobile homes. Now, this is not as strong as what we were tracking back there earlier. The leading edge, we expect to see that kind of activity. As we kind of widen this, you can see the true leading edge is kind of up here, and it is a little less impressive, but you can see those clustering of wind and even a tornado report that they've had kind of up out of that patch. And I think that was actually some of those reports were from the earlier storms earlier on this evening. Yeah, those were. So we don't have the official storm reports, but that leading edge is up there. And so it's part of that the storm in Alcorn County is connected to. And the part of this line we have to watch most closely would also be back here toward Lake Mohawk and east of Dumas there, where the winds could just go the wrong direction perhaps at some point, but we're good on most of that. So our most pronounced circulation is the one we show here right along US 72 south of County Road 220 to the west of County Road 218 in Alcorn County, southeast of Corinth, south of Farmington, moving out here toward County Road 226. I believe this is County Road 944. So County Road 944 moving in that direction there. Rotation that is not quite as strong as it was, say, 20 minutes ago, but it still is. It's still strong enough that it's probably wind damage. But certainly something right over top of the Strickland area. So if you know someone that has a Strickland address there, they need to be in their tornado safe place. Let's track ahead here. This is going to be our track that shows all the different spots with it. And I'm going to take it just a little farther so I can catch the Dosky area there. So Dosky we show at 1238, Strickland at 1227, obviously 1228 now. It's just clicked over to a new minute there, so it's already there. We're past due now. Hopewell Methodist Church at 1230, Shady Grove Church. There's a number of these Shady Grove churches that come up. This is the one, I think that might actually be in Tishomingo County there. Center Point School at 1234, 1234 also Grissom Chapel, Mulberry School at 1231, and the Dosky community at 1238. Doppler radar indicated rotation. Still watching very closely for locations there in Alcorn County. Checking with our discussion with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters, I'm not seeing a whole lot coming out of that at this moment. Of course, nighttime spotting is dangerous, whereas during the day we will go around, we will drive, we will try to find out that information. At night, it's a completely different story. It's just you have to be very careful. You're waiting for lightning strikes, and that can be a very dangerous kind of situation for folks. So we usually have our spotters stay stationary most of the time when it comes to nighttime spotting on nights. So that's certainly where we are with them tonight. So the reports tend to come in a little slower, but certainly something that we appreciate all the hard work that they put in on nights like this to keep all of us, my family safe, your family safe, and everyone's as well. So I'm checking in on one of our discussions with them. We have a bunch of different ways we kind of keep in contact with one another, and so I'm trying to check one of those at this moment. And I do think that we have at least a couple of pictures here coming out of Alcorn County. Oh, that is the Alcorn.
I just called, he didn't answer.
Okay. Hopefully that's not didn't answer because he's busy. Which sometimes is the case. Certainly like this is their busy moments. Yes, go ahead.
The Sheriff's Department, I called them. The only thing they had was a power outage in Theo.
Okay, power outage in Theo.
But they only knew of one.
Okay.
Tippah County said they have not had any reports of damage or power outages.
Okay. So,
and that was from the Sheriff's Department as well.
Perfect. So that's excellent to hear. Tippah County, no reports of damage or power outages there, to repeat what Chelsea said. And then Theo community, there was a power outage from out there. Let's walk back here and let's see if we can confirm that back from something going on And that was probably the straight line winds along that that caused that. Well, I'm going to check here to see if we can check on some power outages. Do you know how to pull poweroutages.us up on 3?
I can on 3. Yellowbush and Lafayette are now under a severe thunderstorm warning again.
Okay, perfect. Yellowbush, well, not perfect for them. Thank you for the information. That's what I meant when I said that. So Yellowbush and Lafayette County, and this is that batch that previously had the tornado warnings on it when it was in the Delta, and we were giving you that advanced heads up. We're now closer to you at this time. Let's look at the wind mode there. There's still some circulation. I don't see in that discussion they are not going tornado possible on this, but it is that still circulation in this case that can enhance the wind speeds on it, and so that's what they are tracking on that. So let's give you, I'm going to double check what they're saying for speed. And on that, they're going with a forward speed of, let's see if it's going to come up. There we are, 60 mile per hour winds on it, and a speed of 55 miles per hour. So they're still taking that a little faster in some of the other thunderstorms. So I'm going to bump this up to 55. We'll get you a storm track based on that. And there will be rumbles ahead of this. I'm tracking the strongest wind portion of this. So the strongest wind portion of that, Cortland at 12:32, Tillatoba at 12:37. Current time is 12:31. Scobie there at 12:42, Water Valley 12:53, Coffeyville 12:55, Yakna around 1:07, Dogtown at about 1:15, Denmark at 1:11. Strong straight line winds, tornado chance isn't 0 on that. I'm watching it closely, and at some point something else could try to spin up. There's also, I would say there's also a flash flooding risk, and we're not going to get really into that when we have still rotation up here. But you'll notice how over the course of this hour, there's some spots here that really haven't seen any of this move at all. We already had heavy rainfall, some spots up there today. So I would say there is some of a flash flooding issue potentially for some of those spots there if that rainfall continues at this rate. And the easy thing that we try to say over and over again, it's not always easy to obey, is turn around, don't drown. We don't want you to take water over roadway not seriously, because it can be a decision that could be life altering in its own way. Still showing circulation here, but I would say more at this instant. There are a couple spots there that we're watching. This looks more like straight line winds, like almost like a downburst sort of signature there. Let's see if the rainfall mode lines up with that. We're looking really high. We're looking about a mile up into this thunderstorm at this point. So everything we're looking at is extremely fuzzy. And from this angle, I would put our circulation, if it were still there, which by the way, it is substantially weaker than it was. I put our circulation right there north of 72, just about a mile and a half west of the Mississippi-Alabama state line. That's where I put it there. Pictures coming in here from Brian with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. This is looking toward Biggersville from Mitchell Hill Road. Brian Goss with this picture coming in a few minutes ago here. Appreciate James for getting this on there for us. Brian sent us this picture. Has to wait for lightning strikes to kind of see it. Number one thing, obviously, that you can see on this, there is no connection between the cloud and the ground there. This would have been when the storm was closer to US 45, and Chelsea was tracking that a little bit ago there. Little separation between the cloud and the ground, a good sign there. What Chelsea's also been looking at are those power outages and the way that is rolling in, and not all the power providers do provide us information back there. Chelsea, what do we have on power outages?
Right now on power outages, you can see most of that is really along that Mississippi up towards Tennessee state lines, where that has already passed through the area of reporting those power outages. Maybe right now they're still trying to filter in some more of those power outages if there are any more. But most of that is out towards the Delta, up towards Marshall County, Tate County, Quitman, really out of our area. But as this does continue to come through, those gusty winds could be affecting your power as well.
Absolutely.
So if it does affect your power and knock your TV out, we're on live stream. We're also on Facebook Live right now on the WTVA Weather Authority page.
Absolutely. Appreciate that, Chelsea. Appreciate borrowing your phone to make sure that we're on there like that right now as well. She mentioned it live on the weather and news apps. If you need to power that phone here.
It's still got 36% right now.
36%. Okay.
Yeah, it's fine.
If and when the time comes.
Okay.
There's a power cord right there. So continuing as of 12:35 p.m., I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lopp on here alongside our Chelsea Brown, who's been in here since the afternoon monitoring things. A tornado warning remains in effect for Alcorn, Tishomingo counties. This is unlikely to be a long-lived tornado. So what are we dealing with here? Maybe brief spin-ups. We've had no confirmation of tornado touchdowns with this thunderstorm over the last hour. What we have had is a potential that it's produced a few power outages, and anytime it's power outages, you assume you have some strong wind gusts with it. It is in an environment where we can see brief tornadoes, so this is not in any way what we were talking about potentially for Thursday of last week or Wednesday the week before. Those were long track, long-lived, violent tornadoes. That's not what we have here. But that's not to diminish what we have here. But clearly it's in a different category of expectation. So what do you expect? That if this hits you, there could be some wind damage, and if you're in a vulnerable structure, it could be worse. So if you live in a mobile home or a barn dominium, you know, one of those metal buildings that people fit out, those aren't. It's clearly mobile home is a step or two below that, but you want to be in a site-built structure that has strong walls around it and an interior room in order to be in good shape. I think most site-built structures, even those that don't have a designated, tornado safe room, you're probably going to be okay from this thunderstorm. So if you live in Dosky, north of Burnsville here, Pine Flat, Grand Harbor, up here toward J.P. Coleman State Park, and you're ahead of this and you're under this tornado warning, if it's a site-built structure, you're probably fine if you're in the middle of that. This is unlikely to be a high-end tornado, but wind is wind, and we don't want to necessarily diminish damage, but we just want to put in perspective from the way we were very, very, very concerned on likely loss of life situation versus this where it's probable we will have damage. And these storms do have a history from time to time of causing wind damage, power outages, power lines down, and back out in the Delta, a different version of this, but it did flip over a few mobile homes out that direction. So that's why we want to emphasize the unsafe places versus safe places at this moment here. And what we're looking at, what we're defining this as at this moment, is a Doppler radar indicated rotation that could lead to the development of a tornado at some point. The circulation there, I think, is just a little ahead of where we have it at this moment, pretty much right. I would put it over top of the Tishomingo County line at this instant here. So let's go ahead and bring the definition off for a moment. Let's advance forward our circle. Let's check back to the wind mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. And we're looking extremely high up into thunderstorm, but even then, this is nowhere near what it was even when it was back here toward the Jobs community south of Corinth. Watch with me, if you will, the way in which this has behaved over the last 20-30 minutes. Clearly brighter reds, and it's about the same level of green. It's headed more east than south than headed almost directly east. Doesn't really have any north component to it. It's almost directly east. It's that for a while there it was kind of heading northeast originally, and now it's headed more east. Sometimes you see that turn to the right, as we would call it, which in this case would be kind of a little bit more of a south component, a little more east and a south component. Sometimes that's an intensification. On this one here, I don't know that I can necessarily say that is the case, and it looks like it has weakened substantially. Let's walk down the line, make sure there's not someplace else that is in a different scenario here. A couple interactions there around Rienzi. Let's look at that near the intersection of County Road. What is that, 560? Let's look here a little closer. Wind mode near Biggersville. I would still say probably that's straight line winds, and I don't know that it's even necessarily for sure damaging straight line winds out of that. Kind of as we jostle this around a little bit. Let's come back here. Let's look north of New Albany. A couple little interactions there, but in this case, we're not talking about, I mean, that's heavy, that's some stronger winds there, but I don't think we're talking at this instant about enough rotation that would be for sure tornado. And back here toward the Burke community, so we're watching that. We have to watch every one of these little notches. I'm not really convinced on that either. Maybe something will change on that, but luckily I think we aren't quite as strong at some of the spots there. I would say now, and let's double check this. Yeah, they have gone ahead and they have canceled our tornado warning up here. No, they haven't. I'm sorry. They expired it. It's a trick of the trade. So what they've done is they have expired it, which means they have no intention to reissue this tornado warning, but they also, because there's a little rotation there, they don't want to necessarily cancel it early. They don't want to imply that the threat's all gone because there is still a straight line wind threat up here. So they're going to let this warning go here in a couple minutes. They're going to expire that, and I don't see a lot of rotation on that there. We're fairly high up, so that kind of hurts our ability to see it. But where we are not too high up, well, where we are still high up, but we still have a lock on what we're looking at here. It's out here west of Coffeyville, at Oakland and Enid. This is just west of the county line out there. Back out in the Delta, and yeah, near Pope and Oakland there, and Young's Camp. Strong straight line winds out of that moving eastward. I'm gonna check this. Hold on. Let's make sure we have the right speed on that. Yeah, 55 miles per hour. So Oakland, we're now to what, 43, 3 minutes from you. Strong straight line winds. From time to time, this has had rotation with it. Watching this very, very closely there. We'll have to see very closely to see if something here changes on this. We're looking at Enid Lake at 12:51, Gatewood at 12:58, Coffeyville, Water Valley a little bit after 1 o'clock for you. Strong straight line winds. There is some rotation with this. I'm going to check a couple other radar sites. We're going to go over here and we're going to check the Columbus, Mississippi radar site and get rid of Memphis for a second. I don't have a good lock on that. And it does not look like we have a great lock on it from the other Memphis radar sites. We're going to stick with the one up there in Tennessee. And some rotation, yes. I would say more, and this is the deal with this. Up here, southwest of Batesville, near Pope, is probably the strongest part of this, moving toward Shufford there, and eventually probably Lafayette County if that can hold in. And so we'll have to watch this interaction that we have here, because I do think that is strengthening. Now, I did get a little blip from the National Weather Service in Huntsville. This is not included in their area, but they're noticing an uptick on the lightning with this. So let's try to specifically check out the lightning. And let's go the last 3 minutes. And we're going to increase the size of the bolts so they're easier to see. And the reason I'm doing such a short period of time, just the last 3 minutes, is sometimes a jump in the number of lightning strikes can be a sign that that things are strengthening. And honestly, I don't agree with what they're saying there, because if you watch this up toward Corinth, see all these lightning strikes you have over that period there when we were getting those wall clouds, when it was a little bit more organized. And now notice how it thins out a lot more when it gets over here toward Grand Harbor. Now, I think this is probably still in a weakening phase unless there's something I'm missing. Now, Rienzi, let's watch that. The part of this back here toward Jumpertown and Rienzi. Let's see, there's a decent amount of lightning there, but let's do a comparison here to what we have kind of back out here. Where does your eye go to? Because I'll tell you right where mine goes. It goes right there to this storm west of Coffeyville and southwest of Oxford. That's a lot of lightning. So if we're analyzing a jump in lightning strikes, that's where my eye is going. And so that's what I'm concerned with, that could be an increasing damaging wind threat out of this. And the reason we look at the lightning is because it illustrates a more tumultuous atmosphere, which causes more separation of charge, which then causes more lightning strikes. Circulation present in the north end of the Boeing line segment, but remember, remains too broad at this moment. Discussion from the Weather Service there as they're watching this. But the concern in my mind is we're going to shrink those lightning strikes down a little bit more, is that, let's see if we can get a nice medium size. There we are. So you see how this is now more north and south? That vertical bow sort of shape there typically is associated with some stronger winds that could be up around 60, 70 miles per hour. So I would say that we're looking at this from Charleston now into the Oakland area, moving over top of, I believe that's at Enid Lake there, toward Water Valley. That's, I'm right about that, right? Right.
Enid Lake?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Past midnight and my lake knowledge apparently goes away. So Enid Lake there, a Long Branch there, west of Water Valley, strong straight line winds, and it's certainly into Oakland now is where I would have it as well, as I'm kind of jostling between a couple of radar sites there. The fact though on this, when we have this kind of circulate back, we call these lined end circulations typically a strong straight line wind threat with those. So that would be our concern that we could have with that. Let's look at the wind here. And certainly I can come up with some spots along this line, and we're looking super high up on it, but some spots where it, has, hold on, am I on straight line? Let's get the straight line winds, clear that. Let's see, yeah, 70 or more miles per hour aloft. How much is that making it all the way down to the surface? I mean, every click there was over 70 miles per hour. Some of that's making it down, and typically it has more effective job of doing that when you get these line end segments like the one that I'm kind of highlighting there. Let's reset things here for a moment. Current time is 12:45. Our last tornado warning has expired. That might not be the last one we see all night, but let's give kind of an overview for folks here where we stand at this moment here. We have severe thunderstorm warnings, and a lot of times I'd say just severe thunderstorm warnings, so it's easy for us to have that discussion. But the thing about what we have out here tonight is we've had just severe thunderstorm warnings that flipped over some mobile homes in northwest Mississippi. Now, I don't think that that's what's going to happen out of most of this line. Looking at the latest data here, I think most of this, it's 50 to 60 mile per hour straight line winds out of this that's moving into Boonville right now. We'll look closer at you, but back toward the Coffeyville area, there's more of a potential. This could be 70 mile per hour winds that could at some point try to spin up a tornado on the north side there, because that is the kind of acceleration we got up here when we had that damage up north. So I'm going to quickly come up here to Boonville. Because we have a fairly decent population center that's being hit with this. I mean, we have a few other storms near Wheeler that are merging there just to make sure that those mergers are not causing an extra bit of circulation. There's some little notches there that we're watching, but none that look too terribly over the top at this moment here. So a good sign as far as that is concerned. We do have, I think, a shot of a wall cloud that was there in Alcorn County. We now finally have a shot. This coming in from Bryan again with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. Not a super well-defined one, but again, we're waiting for lightning strikes at night. It's a lower hanging area. I don't know that there's enough there to say we had a tornado, because I think most of that outline you see there, that is the tree and the pollen falling from it. But there's our wall cloud that was there. So watching that at this point, we think that feature has dissipated. That was on the northern part of this earlier on, but certainly watching that fairly closely just in case something pops up. The description, though, from the folks at North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters, did not look like it was on the ground at that point there, but certainly a scary looking cloud for sure. And it's easy to an untrained spotter and even a trained spotter sometimes to think that is a tornado, but thankfully not the case. That circulation has diminished, and the reason we're not in here super close on Iuka is because those storms continue to kind of weaken. So I'm going to get you a storm track on this whole portion here that's moving closer to 40 miles per hour, and then we're going to get in and we're really going to dig into the folks out there in Yalobusha County. So 40 miles per hour. Boonville, Baldwin, all the way there. And we'll get those out of Tishomingo County, as you can see there. Iuka about 12:58, Hobo Station 105, New Site 111, Tishomingo 115, Cherokee 124, and then out of our area after we go past that. Let's look at Yalobusha County, and then we'll make a determination after that if we're going to send some folks back to programming. Not that we have a lot of riveting programming after midnight at 12:48 a.m., but nonetheless.
Just retime that at moving at 45 miles.
Say again?
Just retime that moving at 45 miles per hour.
So 45 is how fast the Oakland one is?
The one moving into Yalobusha County.
Okay, 45. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. So let's get that at 45 miles an hour. So from Shufford and Enid Lake there until Atoba, where we have it now, we'll get you a time in the Water Valley, and we'll catch Coffeyville on this. This is easily our strongest part of the line here, and every one of these lightning strikes you see there is a cloud-to-ground lightning strike that has occurred within the last 3 minutes. So that's quite a bit of lightning out of this. So Water Valley, 12:59 for you. That's 10 minutes. Now, what should you expect when this moves in Water Valley? I mean, you can ask folks in Oakland. It's probably straight line winds. It's probably going to cause some power outages, and it could potentially cause some wind damage. Tornadoes are not impossible out of this, but they're not necessarily, I'd put it in a likely category there. So Coffeyville, 106 for you. 12:59 for Water Valley, Taylor Community at 101, Velma at 103, Paris at 113, Yakna at about 114, and Denmark at 120. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to catch a track on this that does clip Oxford just in case it goes that far north, so we get kind of an idea there. I should have Oxford in that. Maybe it's just slightly out of it. I think it might be just slightly out of it. Let's extend this farther then. Let's catch a few other folks in advance of that. So if that held together there, eventually Thaxton, we're looking at 134 for you. Ecru at 146, Pontotoc 153, Sherman at about 201. The Tupelo area to the 215-ish, Midtown Tupelo by about 220. That 45 miles per hour, what it's moving at this moment here. By the way, we mentioned this threat also earlier, flash flood warnings. because of the potential for all this heavy rainfall to cause some flash flooding. And then I'm going to look closer here to New Albany, but let's show that new flash flood warning coming out a few minutes ago there, and it does impact some folks. I'm in Chelsea's workspace here, so sometimes it's hard to. Sorry. There we are. You're fine. We all behind the scenes are able to kind of set things up the way we like it, and since Chelsea was one that started this coverage, we're under her workspace. And I'll see if I can get it to not get the severe thunderstorm warnings for a moment. Nope, it's not going to pop that on. Okay, so let's get a time.
Yours is on too. If you want me to tell him to go switch it.
Yeah, we'll leave it on here. So at least for now, we'll leave it on here. I might switch it to here in a minute. Well, that flash flood warning until 2:45 a.m., but it's this purplish box there for all the rain that's been seen in there. Likely that we're seeing some rivers and stuff like that get a little higher overnight. Think about that if you're going to bed. And by the way, we need to do small clears because we know we have people that wait for those specific words. You're all clear in some spots. Let's do that here for a brief moment before we kind of get a little more meaty as our coverage has to ramp back up for some of these spots. So all clears for a moment here. I would say if you live in Ripley, all clear. Walnut, Corinth, all clear. Holly Springs, all clear. Oxford, north of Oxford, all clear. Not Oxford proper yet. The north part of this line still has a couple spots with a little broad rotation in them, so I'm not really willing to go there yet for you. And really, that's about it at this point that we can go completely all clear. Maybe northern Tishmingo County, north of Burnsville there. I'd say most of Tippah County, and again, Benton, Marshall County is all clear. Otherwise, we continue to have a tornado watch that remains in effect for a good chunk of the overnight time period. And we expect that we will have thunderstorms that move through almost all locations in our area overnight. They should gradually weaken as they move from northwest toward the southeast, but that'll clearly take some time. We're going to do a shift change here for a moment. Chelsea, are we psyching you out?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we're going to get Chelsea home before this gets her. So appreciate all your hard work today. Been a long day for you.
Do you want me to start a Facebook Live on yours?
Yeah, let's go ahead and let's, if you'll grab one of the iPads over there, okay. We'll start a Facebook. We're going to restart a Facebook Live with that here in a minute. So we can make sure that we get that going because I have to get her phone. I want to come up here to Union County for a moment. I'm going to look at New Albany because this storm is a little more organized than some others. There is a little rotation with it. I don't think it's enough that we're talking rotation getting to the ground, but out of a due diligence and just being safe, let's go ahead and track it just in case there. So we show New Albany at about 12:59, North Haven at 1 o'clock, Cownville 1:04, Halltown about 1:13.
Okay. I'm about to change, so there's going to be just a slight change.
So there'll be a slight delay here, a slight change when we go from one of these to the next. Apologize for that for the folks on Facebook Live, and we'll get that figured out. You might have to change the angle on the chair so you can lay it flat up against the chair, I'm guessing. Thank you, Chelsea. Appreciate that. West of New Albany. Now, let's figure out this return here. And we're going to check a couple different radar sites to see what we're looking at here, because sometimes this can be a little deceiving. I show up both of those. Is that a downburst then that I'm dealing with? What do we have here? So typically it's easy. Red and in pink, you get tornado. But this is along the beam. When you're looking for a tornado, you're looking for it, side by side. I mean, technically those two are side by side. So. I mean, I would certainly be in a shelter if I lived here in the New Albany area, just in case. It does not perfectly line up where I'm sure that that's a tornado, and I think there's a pretty decent chance it might not be, but we've had wind damage out of these tonight, and I do think that could be wind damage. And I do know that we have kind of on the northwest side here of the New Albany area, once you get out there north of 30. I'm trying to remember which road that is. The Brownfield Road, there's a road right there. Glenfield. The Glenfield area, I know there's a bunch of mobile homes out here, pretty much right about where you're at. Hopefully we have a safe place that we can get somebody there, but there's a couple little interactions there that we're watching. I don't know for sure that that's a tornado, but the fact it shows up on both sides, I would think that there's a wind potential there that could be significant. So right there. There's also one back out here toward Concord, and the fact that one's kind of popped up next to another. Sometimes you get the same change in the atmosphere, a shift in the winds aloft, a little ripple that can sometimes have an impact like that. I'm curious if that might be what's going on here with this. So the two circulations that we're watching there, gonna have to keep a pretty close eye on that. Are Bryce Jones in here now with me? Bryce, your microphone working all right?
Should be.
Okay, we'll check that here in just a second with the, go ahead and try it again.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear him? One more
Can you hear
time.
me?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay.
Okay, we're good on that. Want to verify that. Appreciate that. Appreciate Ben in the back room there helping us out as well, obviously. Near nonstop lightning out of these thunderstorms from time to time. Certainly something I guess you would expect out of thunderstorms this time of year. We'll get you shot. This again coming from Brian with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. Well, I'm not going to be able to get that one to connect, it doesn't look like. But I think, as you can imagine, as many of you probably are experiencing, a lot of lightning out of these thunderstorms. Checking on some of the power outages, because that can become a cumulative issue from time to time. If the power outages start to stack up, then you have to be concerned that people aren't getting the information maybe they need. I think we're still doing okay. The majority of power outages in the state, we have about 3,700, and they are primarily back kind of in Marshall County, Benton County, back toward the west. But this out there closer to Greenville, that is associated with the storm that's moving through Yalobusha County right now. So watching that closely. Alcorn, Benton, Tippah, Itawamba, Prentiss, and Lee County. New severe thunderstorm warning issued, I believe now, and let's double check that. Issued, so at 12:56, so that would be replace the one we have there until 1:45. But they're going with the phrase tornado possible on this. I think they're looking at these little ripples that we're watching as well. And while none of these is for sure a tornado, there's a bunch of little areas in there where I would certainly say it's a recommendation that you should be in a tornado safe place. I'm going to come back here to Coffeyville, and this storm we have back here very near Water Valley. You're already starting to get some wind in Water Valley. Certainly it's strengthening a little bit more just to the west of you back there. Good? You think it's good?
Yeah, I think it's good. I'm just making sure they can see the times on that.
Okay, perfect. I appreciate that. Thank you, Chelsea. Have a good night. Be safe getting home.
You too.
Okay, so this is my weather call. We listened to one of these earlier, but as you saw, the warning popped on there, and that's about how quickly it comes in. It comes in pretty fast. Within a minute, usually it comes in. So Water Valley, though, we are watching strong winds. I do have an area, a little circulation right there on 32. It's not strong, but it could be an enhancement of the wind that could be up around 70 miles per hour or so. So just west of town there in Water Valley, heads up. We only have a couple minutes before this gets in. In fact, assuming this is still going about 45 miles per hour here, let's get that. Let's make sure that that's right. I'm going to get our discussion with the Weather Service up, double check the speed. They are still going, they're going 55 on this. So they're going 55 miles per hour, which is a little faster than the 45. So depending on which part of this line, it's moving a little faster there. It's obviously pretty much there in development in Water Valley now and moving toward Pine Valley. So Water Valley, 1 a.m. the time. We have 2 minutes. This is showing a little bit of rotation with it. Let's look at the wind mode here on Storm Track Doppler radar to check. A little enhancement. It's nothing that is for sure a tornado, but clearly I would be in a tornado safe place if I lived there in the Water Valley area, just in case. Let's not take any chances with this. It's just north of 32, just west of town. Moving your Old Fry Road just north of Mississippi Highway 32 should within about the next 2 minutes to be the Mississippi Highway 7, an intersection of that and Mississippi Highway 315, north side of Water Valley. I don't know that this is a tornado, but I do think it is damaging winds with that are moving in. So damaging wind gusts approaching there in Water Valley at this moment. That storm has intensified just a little bit more for you. Let's track it for locations in Coffeyville. That part does not look nearly as impressive, but we'll get you some times there as well. And times in the Coffeyville we show about 1:03. We need to bounce back and check Union County again. I'm wondering if we're getting some kind of a Bryce, if you look at mesoanalysis and see if there's something changing aloft right now, if there's some kind of speed max or something going overhead. I feel like we've got a couple of these that have gotten more organized just in the last 15, 20 minutes here. Like this one we have near Cownville. It is not, we don't have as bright of colors as what we had just a minute ago on this. But we have a couple of these circulations. This one kind of looks like it could be wrapping back up around near the Molino area there on the Tipa Union County line. I would say it seems reasonable that you could have some wind gusts up around 65, 70 miles per hour there. If that's not even, I mean, it's not impossible if that's trying to rotate up and produce a tornado. Let's look at the rainfall mode here and let's see if that is hard to say. See, what we have going on here is we have multiple levels affecting at the same time, because you'll notice you have some things merging at one speed, and then you have these ripples kind of moving at a slightly slower speed as they go through it. And so it's the interactions as this is coming at one speed and that's coming at a different level, then it quickly spins something up. The likelihood, I want to be 100% honest with you, the likelihood of me seeing a tornado, catching damage, and being able to relay that to you before it's impacting you at this point, I think is dropping. And it is because any tornadoes we're seeing now are so brief that they cause damage with fairly little warning. And so that's why I think we have to start treating these severe thunderstorm warnings and the times we give you related to those like a sheltering situation. Certainly in a sturdy structure, if you live in a site-built home, if you're middle-ish of that, you're going to be just fine. These are unlikely to be high-end tornadoes. And frankly, in most cases, they're not going to be tornadoes, but they will rock. And from time to time, it's not impossible if you were to get one of those 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gusts that you could see one try to roll a mobile home. But again, not high-end tornadoes. I don't think that necessarily changes your preparation much. We need to make sure we're in a sturdy structure near the middle, in the lowest floor. Have some blankets, pillows ready to go, and stay there until we can try to give you the all clear. And unfortunately, there's a lot of folks that are still kind of ahead of this line. Let's go back to Yalobusha County and check that. That had a more well-defined area there of strength. This is still a fairly broad rotation entering Water Valley. I don't know that we necessarily have a ton of hail with this. Let's check lightning. I'm going to see if we can cut this back and see if we can check for a lightning jump. I'm going to increase the size of our lightning bolts again. And we're going to decrease the amount of time that we're looking at it. By standard, I have it set for 30 minutes. I want it back to 3 because that will allow me to then see more of where the lightning is at just this instant. Kind of catch there near moving toward Velma. That little that's actually between Velma and Coffeyville. That batch there has a pretty good little enhancement there. That's getting a little more interesting on that. So the two things we're looking at there, I still think the rotation here is fairly broad, but it is tightening up a little bit more near Water Valley. And then that straight line wind there near Tillatoba moving toward Coffeyville. So we really have kind of two impacts there. But notice how this green area the last couple minutes getting a little brighter green. Let's check. We're going to hit some other radar sites around. Let's hit the radar site out of the airport in Memphis. And we might be just too far away to... hold on. We're right at the edge of its range. I would say we need to be near a tornado safe place if you live there in Water Valley, the Paris community in Lafayette County. And there's a new tornado warning coming out on the north part of this, I think. Hold on. Okay, so they're catching the Cowanville stuff there. Okay, so we're gonna have to be jumping here back and forth, unfortunately, it looks like. I apologize for that because I'm going to get the Water Valley track here, and then we've got to go to that tornado warning. So we're still going, I'm going to make sure we have it about 50, 55 miles per hour on the Water Valley, because I think that's about to pop a tornado warning as well. So let's go 55, Water Valley, moving toward Yakna and Thaxton, and eventually east of that, Yakna, about 17 minutes, Paris 12 minutes, Springdale 2 minutes, Water Valley, it's over top of you, circulation increasing, watching that closely. We have a new tornado warning. We'll be back to you here in just a moment. So tornado warning has been issued for locations up here in eastern Union County. There we are. We probably have a tornado on the ground with this. Hold on. Yeah, that's likely a tornado. Okay, so this is that area we were watching just a minute ago. Remember we said it was wrapping back around? Well, now it's probably done it here. So I believe this could potentially be a tornado right there near just northeast of Cowanville, near the intersection of Mississippi Highway 370 and 264. I know there's a church right at that intersection I've seen driving around a few times. Let's get all of the little churches that can pop on here, and let's make some phone calls here for some folks. We're now at that time of night, 1:04 a.m., where we need to be taking this seriously. So Mount Pleasant, Pleasant Ridge Baptist Church. That was it. I should have remembered that. Mount Zion Church, both in the path of this over the next few minutes here. Locum, if you know folks that live near Locum, a tornado warning in effect for you. This has spun up quickly, and it is strong enough. I mentioned earlier that we might not be able to pick out tornado debris. This one could be strong enough that maybe we could at some point. It doesn't show up very well on the rainfall mode, but definitely does on the wind mode here on Storm Track Doppler radar. So that's where we're looking at with this, that circulation there that has really spun up and really kind of got organized. We talked, it was the difference in kind of wind speeds there where it tries to ratchet that up, and that's what we're dealing with this one here. So let's get a longer track on this, a tornado warning in effect until 1:30 a.m. The speed on this, they're going 45 miles per hour on this. So a couple of these have different speeds. We'll go back down to 45 miles per hour. This is heading in the direction of Boonville, so I know we have a number of weather calls going off there as well. And I need to look closer to see if did they clip Lee County with that one, or did they go around it? We'll look here in a second. So Locum 1 minute, Geeville 10 minutes, Blackland 14 minutes, Frankstown in 15 minutes, Osborne Creek 16 minutes, Boonville 21 minutes, Thrasher in 26 minutes, Hills Chapel School in 29 minutes. This is a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. Let's define what we're looking at here. So we are looking at a situation where rotation has developed and strengthened very quickly and could develop into a tornado, could have already developed into a tornado. As we mentioned earlier, there might not be a ton of lead time with this. And I think we find ourselves in that situation because our circulation is not what it was even 2 minutes ago. Right there, when it's south of Molino, we were watching it right here. Right here, this is the scan where we went away to Water Valley and went to look at that. And now, as you can see there, from 12:59, current time is 1:06, you go, boom, probably a tornado along Highway 30. Boom, a little north of Highway 30 and County Road 156. 370, and now it's broadened out. I don't know that this is a tornado. It's still probably wind damage there. But I would say that, you have to watch kind of that whole section there now. That's how quick this can happen. So let's go 45 here, and then we've got to go back to Yalobusha County. Even though Yalobusha County is not a tornado warning, it might be one that ends up prompting one in its own right. So Halltown 107, current time is 107, so it's over you. The Alpine Community 108, Jericho at 111, 118 Geeville, Frankstown 122, Osborne Creek at 123, and Boonville 126. This has been briefly something that wrapped up. Looks like it could have produced a tornado. I did not have confirmation of tornado debris on here, but that should not be the happy sign it always is because I don't know that it would loft it up high enough to show tornado debris. I'm coming back here. We're switching back to this radar site, and we're looking at a few things here back around Lafayette County, a few little interactions. And the one near Taylor does show a localized enhancement of those winds. Are a little stronger there north of Water Valley, but I also think that might have weakened ever so slightly as well. Let's pull off the radar site there. See how that's wrapped back around? See how that's wrapped back around there? South of Springdale, north side of Water Valley there? That circulation could be enough that's trying to produce a tornado as well. Let's track it as such. Let's make the assumption and track that forward. Paris, I show 13 minutes for you. Strong rotation on that certainly has increased somewhat. So severe thunderstorm warning for you until 1:15. Tornado possible. The description that I would go with on the from the National Weather Service on that one there. Bryce, have you seen anything on the socials with folks? I know it's that time of night where we don't really get a whole lot from folks, thankfully, because they should hopefully be asleep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't seen anything.
Okay.
I haven't seen anything.
Good sign there. I do have from Iuka, while we don't have a tornado or anything that we've gotten, we definitely have a, let me think who this is. Let's find this. So Brian Stewart sending us this picture here of one of the many other things that we are watching with this big bad lightning strike, and that has caused power outages from time to time. That number of power outages does continue to climb. The combination of lightning and wind certainly an impact of that. Appreciate that picture. Of course, you can share yours, Facebook, Twitter, weather at WTVA.com, all good ways in which you can do that and send those pictures in. So current time is 1:09 a.m. We have a tornado warning that's been issued for locations in Union County is where the circulation near the Locum and Molino area, and I would say put it just east of Halltown. Briefly, we think we might have had a tornado spin up there near Molino and Locum and the Pleasant, I think it was Pleasant Valley Baptist Church. Now, probably just a little north of that location, but radar's not perfect, so we can't say for sure. But this interaction right there near Halltown and the Mississippi Highway 930 kind of intersection there, I put it just east of that now is where our circulation is. It has tightened back up a little bit more, and you can see a little color change while the National Weather Service Memphis is kind of asking the same questions we are. What is this capable of? When we look at this, I show 73 mile per hour wind change there, and right behind it, about 64 mile per hour. So which one of those is valid? I think the one back behind here is unlikely to be, but this one we see up here, and we'll pull that off because it's changing over the rainfall mode, so it's trying to figure out how hard the rain is. But I'd say tracking along Highway 32 toward Guiville there, north of Jericho, we need to make the assumption this could be a tornado in that spot there. So let's circle it to make it as obvious as we possibly can. So as you can see there, near Highway 30, moving toward the Union and Prentiss County line. Answering that question a minute ago, they did not include a Lee County line, I think right there near the Bethany area. Let me make sure that's right. Yeah, the Lee County line there. So they just left Lee County out, which is why we have not heard sirens here in Tupelo. Lee County runs sirens for the whole county when that's the case, but they have not done that at this point here. And now they issued tornado warning on the other thunderstorm there, so we'll look at that here in just a moment. Let's get you storm track. Let's get you one that goes all the way to Boonville, Hills Chapel, gets a few folks in here for a moment. Guiville, 6 minutes. Frankstown, 11 minutes. Wheeler, 12 minutes. Osborne Creek, 13 minutes. Boonville, 18 minutes. Thrasher, 24 minutes. This is a rotation that previously was stronger, but could still be a tornado attempting to develop. If it's not a tornado, it's 70 mile per hour winds. That's enough to flip a mobile home. Make sure you're in your tornado safe place. I'll pop those rules up because they're going to apply just as much to the next spot we're going to be. Let's go back to Yalobusha County. As we go back to Yalobusha County here and southern Lafayette County, we have a tornado warning that's been issued there for this circulation here. Let's go back to the wind mode. It has tightened up enough as we show south of the Taylor area. I know we have Jeff Moat with North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters. We might find out from him. He's got his live feed up. Hey, James, I know you're listening at home. Could you post that in Teams so we could pull up Jeff's live feed here in a minute, if we could, please? Jeff Moat, one of our storm chasers there in the Taylor area of Lafayette County, and he's out monitoring things. We'll get an update from him. Sturdy structure, middle of the lowest floor. If you live in either of these tornado warnings, find a small windowless room, wrap up in blankets and pillows, put on a helmet to protect yourself from debris, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. So who's included in this? They're still going on this one, 55 miles per hour. So we have to adjust our track back to 55 and track this forward there. I'd have it very near Taylor. Yakna, you're in the path of this in the next 9 minutes. It's over top of Taylor right now. Denmark in 14 minutes, Dogtown 17 minutes, 19 minutes, Lafayette Springs, Tocopole in 20 minutes, and Thaxton in 24 minutes. We're watching this for the potential of this to try to produce a tornado. If you could, in the chat with the storm chasers, ask them if they could post that in Teams so that we could pull that up on the air, or at least get it to where we can pull it up one way or another, try to get his stream. Sirens going off in Boonville. Mark with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters noting there with that other circulation that we are watching. This morning, as we look it out far enough, this does go all the way to include Pontotoc. So I'm going to get Pontotoc in the track here so we get you an idea how long it is until it gets there at that 55. If it were to make it to Pontotoc, we'd be looking at about 32 minutes for you. New Albany, kind of on the north side here, in about 36 minutes. This is Doppler radar indicated rotation that's probably wind damage. Could it be a tornado? That remains a possibility that we are watching here at this time. So obviously, pretty much now it's over top of Yakina within the next couple minutes. Denmark within 11 minutes. Let's go street level on this, and then we've got to get back up to the Halltown circulation. That one's gotten stronger. So we're specifically looking here south of Oxford, on the south side of Oxford. In fact, if you would, I'm going to give you this. We'll get Joel up after and get a call into Joel. We'll find out what he's got. He should be just a little north of this, so we find out if tornado sirens going off there in the Oxford area. But near County Road 418 and Mississippi Highway 9, and that split there with 7 is about where I'd have my circulation at this point here, just a little east of the Taylor area, along 328. That's where our circulation is. It's really the north side of this tornado warning that we're watching. Yakina now 6 to 7 minutes, still holding on to that time there. Altus in about 10 minutes, Denmark in 11 minutes. Let's come back up here to Halltown. And up here, the Halltown, that Doppler radar indicated rotation there continues to be fairly impressive. Cannot guarantee that we're not dealing with a radar artifact here the way this is. So your strongest winds are really on the inflow side of this, right here. So they're out here in the inflow. And so then you have this, so you can get a brief spin up on the front side there from time to time. Being that it's night, let's not take any chances. Hopefully Gueville, if you live near Gueville, hopefully we're in that tornado safe place at this moment. The lowest floor of a sturdy structure where we need to be a small windowless room that hopefully we can wrap up in blankets and pillows and protect ourselves from that potential for flying debris. So 2 minutes Gueville, Frankstown 6 minutes, 8 minutes Wheeler, and 9 minutes in Osborne Creek. So that is a tornado warning that has prompted that. I'm watching that closer. Tish Power out here in the Cairo community, northeast Prentiss County, heavy rain. Okay, northeast Prentiss County, this is heading in that direction there. That's not a good sign that we have power outages in the direction that this is heading. So let me drop this off here so we can see Boonville on that map. And there were other couple spots here near Blackland where maybe there's a little rotation. But clearly the most pronounced one is back toward Gueville. I'm going to track all of these. I'm going to keep a speed of 45 on these. There, and so if you know some folks that live out here near Burton, Hills Chapel, altitude community, let's give them some phone calls, because if the power's out, that means they can't see what you're seeing right now. So let them know these times. Take a picture of the screen. Real quick, if you know somebody lives out there, I know I have some friends that live out there, and I know they're probably watching this time of night. Give the parents a call out there. Boonville, we're looking at 122 for you. Thrasher, 123. Wheeler, 125. Altitude, 132. Hills Chapel, 137. Hulkett, and 142. And about 146 there for the Burton community. This is rotation, and it could potentially be a tornado in the generation phase. We're not going to be able to confirm tornado debris until after the fact, unfortunately, and hopefully we don't get it at all. But that's what we are watching for you, and this is defined at this moment as a Doppler radar indicated tornado warning. I'm going to come back to unsafe places, but for a moment here, if your power goes out, we've had power outages. We are streaming live on the WTVA News and WTVA Weather app, Facebook Live going down there. No, you can't hear on Facebook Live as well as you can on the apps. That's why we always recommend it there. But we need to be making sure that we are not in an unsafe place. So we don't need any storm spotters out there that are not fully trained and that do not have night experience. So for folks, cars, trucks, mobile homes, we need to avoid those. We need large open rooms to be away from those. We need a lowest floor of a sturdy structure, a small windowless room, a place where we can wrap up with blankets and pillows and protect ourselves from the potential for debris, because this is a very real possibility with this storm near Gueville and the Wheeler community. So tornado warning continues for you until 1:30 a.m. We got to bounce back west and look to the near the Yakna area. A lightning jump here, not a good sign. Tornado safe place, Yakna, Denmark, Altus, and Lafayette Springs, the Delay community, Dogtown, Takapola. This lightning cluster you see there associated with more turbulence in the atmosphere. That turbulence could be winds mixing down, strong straight line winds. It also could be an interaction that produces a tornado. See, boom, boom. Lightning right there at that spot. You can't even hardly see the red and green circulation there. So we need to be in that tornado safe place southeast of Oxford here where this is. Oxford proper, not in this, but Mississippi Highway 334 is Altus. We're looking at 7 minutes for you. The Denmark community, if you live near that, in 9 minutes, and our time continues to tick down there. Yakna, we're showing in no more than 2 minutes for you. This is rotation that has increased, and from both the Monroe County site, and I'll pop this wider and it'll go over to Memphis for a second. It's perfectly placed there just west of Yakna on 334. So we need to be in a tornado safe place. This could be a situation where we roll over some mobile homes and do other things that we don't want to think about from this. So lowest floor of that sturdy structure, a site-built home should probably be okay if we're in the middle portion of it and it's a fairly sturdy one. Checking our discussion with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters here. I'm going to see if we can get Jeff's video up here. Give me just a moment. There's not going to be a whole lot to see on this, but we'll pop this full and we'll hope it doesn't rotate the wrong direction here. As you can see, it's pretty dark. Still waiting. Let's see. Let's pop ahead here. Let's see if this is, get it back to where it's live. There we go. A lot of lightning on this. as you can see, and it's gone kind of sideways on me. But as you can tell, almost nonstop lightning there. So that's that lightning jump that's always concerning, that sometimes is a preceder to the tornado touchdown. So definitely need to be taking this seriously. This will cross Highway 6 278. Let's adjust this forward. That's probably not the location. It's probably right there, almost over top of Yakna. If it continues at this current speed, within 5 to 6 minutes, near the Denmark communities where it will cross Highway 278-6. There's also another area of circulation just south of that. I mean, this sometimes happens on these straight line wind events where we get multiple spots. We're looking at both of those as areas that could be circulations trying to spin up. So as we track this eastward, let's catch some folks on there. Lafayette Springs, Yakna, it's over top of you now. Denmark, 106, Dogtown 130, Lafayette Springs 132, Takapola 134, Thaxton 138, Buchanan 145, Possum Trop 146, North Pontotoc High School, and Ecru, of course, about 150, 151, and we're looking about Cherry Creek at 154. That is Doppler radar indicated rotation. We've got to go to the other storm now. I'm going to look down here toward Coffeyville just to make sure that that's not another one. Let's track that just in case. Again, straight line winds probably the main issue with that batch there. And unfortunately, I think we're probably still tracking that at the 45 one. But you get an idea there, about 136 Bruce, Schooner about 130. Of course, Tyson and Ellard, it's close to you at this point here. So as we continue our tornado warning up here closer to really Prentiss County, where we're watching very closely. We're now very near Wheeler and 145. That's where our circulation is kind of gotten, continues to show, very near Highway 30, where Highway 30 intersects from 145. We're talking from New Albany, coming along Highway 30. If you're coming from New Albany along Highway 30 on 140 on Highway 30 there, where it intersects with 45, that's where this circulation is, just north of that interchange at this point. It does look on the latest scan a little less impressive. First time that's really been the case, but it's right over the Frankstown exit there near Wheeler. Where we're watching that. So be very, very careful. We need to be in a tornado safe place. We need to make the assumption that this could be a tornado in the generation phase, or certainly something that's a wind damage risk there. So new track, Frankstown, it's over you. Wheeler, we're in 2 minutes for you. Hills Chapel School, 14 minutes. Altitude Community, 16 minutes. This is Doppler radar indicated rotation. I can't do better than that on confirmation tonight, thankfully. We have not been able to do better than that. There's just not a whole lot of reports we're going to get from the field, though we do have a ton of spotters out there giving us information. Not seeing anything in the lightning strikes yet in the Cairo area. Still watching that. Appreciate Taylor for that report there. 50-mile-per-hour winds confirmed there, Pine Valley-ish area in Lafayette County with the other storm that we're watching. Look up here closer to Boonville. Look at these little ripples. This is really a mess to try to figure out at this point here, simply because there's so many little interactions. What's happened is there's been some kind of shift in the winds aloft. Notice how you'll all of a sudden get all these little ripples. See all those bright red ripples that show up there? There's been some kind of enhancement. Did we figure out on mesoanalysis what that might have been?
I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, okay.
It's really messy.
Yeah, that happens where it's just a difficult thing to see this time of night in general. I'm gonna check power outages here, see how those are progressing, see how many more we have. About same number of power outages at this point, though we do have a few more starting to show up in Yalobusha County. At this time, I show 113 customers out of power in Yalobusha County, of those tracked there. So Baldwin, just north of Baldwin, where we have our circulation right now. Near the Wheeler exit, Wheeler-Frankstown exit there. So let's track that latest movement. Hills Chapel, of course, we're now Wheeler 1 minute. We're still showing there. Hills Chapel 14 minutes, altitude 16 minutes, Burton in 22 minutes. Let's go back to the Yalobusha County storm and let's reset here for just a moment and kind of give you an overview of where we're at this time. I'm going to pop on all of the various watches and warnings so we can kind of talk overview, and then we're going to drill down here again. So we have 2 tornado warnings in effect right now. So that's why we're kind of going back and forth to try to do our best to give you the best coverage on each one of those, and then a number of fairly large severe thunderstorm warnings. The yellow areas have wind gusts, or at least will, that could approach 60, maybe 65, perhaps an isolated 70-mile-per-hour wind gust. So far, the National Weather Service in Memphis, where we've seen those near 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, have been going with tornado warnings. So that's where both of these come from, is that tornado potential that probably is more straight-line winds, and in either case, that wind is wind, and the wind can cause damage, and that is what causes the damage in either case there. So let's go back here to the rainfall mode on Storm Track Doppler radar. Current time is 1:25 a.m. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon alongside our meteorologist Bryce Jones, tracking tornado warnings. Storms trying to spin up tornadoes. 2 warnings, one in effect until 2 p.m. That does include sections of Pontotoc, Union, and Lafayette, Calhoun, and Yalobusha counties all in that one. And then we have one here that's primarily Prentiss and Tishmingo. I do think it clips Alcorn County there until 1:30. So let's look back here at the western one for a moment. And I also want to look back here toward Tyson and Coffeyville, moving toward Calhoun City. Let's look at the wind here. I don't have as much of an interaction there. We're going to get that on a storm track here in a second. Let's track this whole batch here. On the rainfall mode, we're going to track this whole batch, which is supposedly moving, we'll say 50... I'm going to go 45 miles per hour. I don't think it's got that 55. I don't think it's really heading to that 55. And so this is all straight line winds, especially this north part there. It's moving toward Pontotoc. 144 we show for you. We're going to double check that speed. Bryce, if you could, you're using the arrow tool. We will double check the speed on the movement of that, because they show that moving east now. They're going 65 miles per hour. So I don't know if that's just the part north there that seems fast. But if you'll double check the speed on that, look, see how far it's moved over the last hour, or 15 minutes times 4. And we'll go from there. Let's come up here north. Let's look at that area that they're talking about here, east of Oxford, near Toccopola, Dogtown. That's where our circulation is, near Yakna. Still showing up right along 278 in the Denmark area where we were tracking it before. So let's look ahead on this, where this could be going. Now approaching Lafayette Springs there. I'll go ahead and up it back to 55 on that speed, and we'll see if we can verify that 65 they're going. So Possum Trot, Nixon, Ingomar, all in the path of this. We'll be checking in with Joe with the North Mississippi Storm Chasers and Spotters there for the latest on what he's seeing. And so Thaxton at 8 minutes now. Lafayette Springs, 3 minutes for you. We'll come in closer here in a moment. Flatwood, 12 minutes. Hortontown there in 14 minutes. Possum Trot, 14 minutes. Bald Hill in 16 minutes. Ecru in 18 minutes. Cherry Creek, 20 minutes. Nixon, 21 minutes. Beacon Hill, 23 minutes. And Wallerville in 24 minutes. A strong straight line winds at least, and a circulation that's as strong as any that we've seen tonight out of these thunderstorms here near Denmark. And as you can see, just south of, I believe that's Lafayette County Road 277. This is the Lafayette Pontotoc County line here. This is moving toward Lafayette Springs. If you live in Lafayette Springs, you know somebody that lives near Lafayette Springs, give them a phone call and make sure that they know that they need to be moving to the lowest floor of a sturdy structure. With the way power outages have worked tonight, and you can see all of these lightning strikes showing up here, it's more than possible that there are some localized power outages that are causing the potential for folks to maybe not get the information they typically would. So lowest floor of a sturdy structure where we want to go, small windowless room, wrap up in blankets and pillows, put a helmet on to protect yourself from that potential that maybe there could be some flying debris with this, and stay there until we can give you the all clear. I'm bringing in our Bryce Jones here for a moment with that information we were talking about a minute ago. Bryce?
Slate Springs we were asking about, I got that at about 50.
50? Mm-hmm. Okay, I keep going. Okay, the Slate Springs one? Mm-hmm. Okay. So Slate Springs is 50. That seems more reasonable. Unless this is clearly going ahead that much faster. Let's check and see here if it's bowed out that much more. I have them about, I would go about the same speed. Maybe this is 55, but okay. I appreciate that. Thanks, Bryce. So that's the track there that we were talking about. Let's slide up here. Let's check these thunderstorms up around Wheeler and Hills Chapel now. That's where this circulation is on the rainfall mode there. I mean, it's not super duper obvious. Still showing up there near County Road 1251 is where we show it right now, near County Road 1251. I'm going to see if I can bring in, I'm going to have to take this out of play mode to do this. I'm going to try to get our live radar out of the our Huntsville sister station on here. It's not always my favorite tool, but it will give us potentially the look we need on this. So give me just a moment here. While I do something behind the scenes, it's going to take a second. So certainly altitude community, Hills Chapel, if you live near Highway 30, near County Road 3371 in Prentiss County and County Road 2371, I'd highly encourage you to be making your way to a sturdy enough structure hopefully inside your home. It's probably too late to try to go someplace outside for sure. Let's find a small windowless room, someplace we can wrap up with blankets and pillows in case you find yourself in a situation where you're dealing with flying debris. At this moment here, though, I cannot confirm that to be the case, and the National Weather Service has allowed the tornado warning that was in effect for you to expire, but they still have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for that location, and I believe they still have the designation of tornado possible with that. So that's still enough information that I think that if I were you, I would still remain in my tornado safe place just in case with this. Certainly a lot of lightning, but if we can make our way to the lowest floor of that sturdy structure, that's definitely where we want to be. So this is Highway 30, this is Burton, and this certainly is moving toward you in some of those spots there. So this is switching over to a different radar site. I'm going to pull those off here in just a second. We'll come back to that here in a moment. And let's slide back and let's look back toward our Thaxton and Lafayette Springs circulation. Not showing up quite as well at the latest time here, thankfully. Certainly we're going to have to watch it, but that's a good sign there. So let's get a track on it. It is over top of Lafayette Springs at this moment here. And so we should make the assumption that we need to be in that tornado safe place if we live there. Based on where this is. Let's get that storm track on here. We're going to say still about 50-55 miles per hour. And I'm actually, rather than that, I'm going to track the whole little S shape here. I'm going to track that Thaxton, Possum Trot, the Buchanan community. So Thaxton at 134, Possum Trot 139, Buchanan 140, Hortontown 142. Strong straight line winds at least, and perhaps the potential that this could try to produce a tornado. I'm going to reset here for a moment, and we'll go and clear that out. So this, as we mentioned a moment ago here, is a Doppler radar indicated rotation. Well, what does that mean? That just means that you have that interaction there as we show it on the radar, and then sometimes that can end up being a tornado. Sometimes it can end up being a straight line wind damage near the intersection of 346 and 336 is where we find it at this time. We have no confirmation this has been a tornado, but certainly it's one that at some point could attempt to spin up. So while I do a storm track on this, Bryce, would you trade me places here for just a moment here? I'm going to trade places. I'm going to see if I can get this connected the way I need to. So
there's a video from Boonville from our chasers on Facebook as well.
Okay, is it Facebook chat or is it on Teams?
Chat.
Let's, if we could, we'll try to move that to Teams here in a minute. Do you know how to move those over to that?
I don't think so.
Okay, I'll get that up and ready for you on this.
Yeah, lots of cloud-to-ground lightning in this. I mean,
almost nonstop.
Yeah, really nonstop. Even coming into the station about half an hour or so ago, I mean, it was just nonstop driving north on 45. And yeah, that rotation just east of Lafayette Springs. It's going to be heading looks like just north of Thaxton and here into Buchanan. Let's switch back to reflectivity. Yeah, and as Matt said earlier, we still haven't had any indication that any of these have officially touched down or at least done any damage is what we've seen. What we look at something called a correlation coefficient, and you look for kind of these bright colors to indicate, well, tornado debris signature. And we haven't seen any of that really with any of these storms recently, which is a good thing. But as Matt mentioned, we're not going to have a whole lot of lead time with these because these are going to be really brief spin-ups that last maybe 10, 15 minutes max.
And Bryce, I don't know if you can hear me. There we go.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of folks, you know, asking upon a talk, you know, we're getting some calls. Hey, do we need to be taking shelter there? Absolutely. I mean,
definitely.
I mean, if you're getting, yeah, if you're hearing sirens going off, you know, I would be in my tornado safe place. I think that's a good decision. Anytime the sirens are going off, where your location is. I mean, the expectation is that you know you go to that safe place and hopefully are safe there. So and to that point, we want to, you know, show a safe place selfie here for some folks. Now let me think. You're on one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we want to show. I'm gonna pop it up here. I think these from Boonville area. Mark sent in this shot here. You know, on nights where you can't get out and do storm spotting, and Mark was one of those folks. He had his kids. You can't go run away from the house. You can maybe run outside, but they're in the storm. Their safe place there, and appreciate him for sending that in, and you know, running out in and out. Probably appreciate his wife for also helping to watch in that situation as well. We got that up and going. You want to trade me back?
Yeah. Yeah, that rotation still, it's trying, it's just not doing it. It's there, and I can definitely see why they put the warning out on it. It's really weak in the last few minutes here, and maybe some of that has to do with the angle we're at. I'm gonna look back to the reflectivity mode. You know, here's the thing, and it's easy for Bryce and I to get wrapped up in the tornado part of it because, you know, it's a tornado warning. But you look at the wider shot here, and it tells probably a more impressive story, honestly. I mean, so you have that area where the circulation is still going around on the precipitation. See how it's kind of, you can just, the whole time here, you just kind of see it, you know, spinning around like that, right there. But that part of the line, whether it's producing a tornado or not, it's strong enough that there's definitely some strong straight line winds. They're going with that'll, you know, push in. So, I mean, that's the part. That's the concern, that we, you know, get some of the bigger impacts related to that. So let's go ahead and backtrack this. I'm going to verify speed here for a moment because they've extended a severe thunderstorm warning for folks in almost all of the northern half of Lee County there. So we're going to have some weather calls going off here in a second. Some phone alerts. Yeah, about 50 miles per hour still where that's going. So based on that, let's come on in here and let's get a storm track. And I know some folks' phones will be going off from that. I know mine was a second ago. Letting people know that, hey, some severe weather, including strong wind gusts, a possibility, and there have been previous tornado warnings on this thunderstorm, so that's what we're watching. So Ecru, it's pretty much on top of you right now. Wallerville at 140, Pontotoc 144. Had some minutes ago, some calls in the newsroom about Pontotoc. Are they in danger? You need to be in a tornado safe place if you live in the Pontotoc area. Looking at Blue Springs, Joyner, and the Tupelo area about 204. Marietta about 210 as that continues to work its way eventually toward Mantachie 216. West Fulton at 221. Fulton 224, Belmont and Dennis about 225, 227, Pogo on the Alabama side 232 and 234 for Red Bay, Alabama. This is straight line winds. This has had rotation. Could it produce a tornado? It still remains a possibility. I don't expect, and we haven't said this in a while, and I know we're waking up new people now with the severe thunderstorm warning, so this is something that needs to be addressed. The likelihood is that we're probably not going to have long-lived tornadoes, but we could still have tornadoes out of this tonight. And so that's the assumption, that maybe we could have a brief tornado out of this, and that's the reason why the National Weather Service has issued this tornado warning, is that potential right there near the Flatwood, Buchanan, and Thaxton area, that this could try to produce a tornado. So that is heading toward Ecru. I can't confirm that it is a tornado on the ground, but I think we should just make an assumption that we'd spend about 10-15 minutes at a safe place in Ecru, and then after this, hopefully we're in good shape. Wallerville, we're looking at about 15 minutes. The center community at 17 minutes. Reese in 17 minutes. And Blue Springs about 18 minutes. It's moving about 55 miles per hour. So the lowest floor of a sturdy structure is where we'd find ourselves. I think that'd be a good decision. If your signal goes out for whatever reason, power outage, super heavy rainfall, which tends to happen sometimes, depending on the provider, then I'd highly recommend you have the WTVA Weather and WTVA News app. We do stream live on there.
And so we can, of course, give you the latest information on that. Do want to pass on an adjustment here. National Weather Service is going to head and cancel the tornado warning on this. The circulation that was stronger when it was back to the west, they're not convinced on the tornado potential. Not that clearly Bryce and I have been for the last few minutes, but the circulation is still there. If you kind of walk back the area we're watching. And actually, we should probably watch this, make sure we still agree that's the strongest spot. But right there, you'll see how for a minute there, south of Oxford, watch how it gets really bright there. And then it's weakened a little bit more. Some of that's the angle with the radar, but they can change that as it goes along. And I think it has weakened a bit. So they are going to go ahead and let that, go ahead and cancel that tornado warning.